Hi, I'm Lara. Welcome to a tutorial on 10 essential right hand tips for ukulele. Let's get started. Tip number 1 is to care for your nails. There are two important things to pay attention to here. One is that your nails need to be nice and smooth, regardless of whether they're long or short. If you have sharp or jagged edges on your nails, they're going to catch the strings. So get a good nail file and keep them nice and smooth. Another important detail around your nails is how long they are. Many beginners ask, how long should my fingernails be on my right hand? And really, it's up to you. They can be very short, they can be long. Keep in mind that you'll get a different sound depending on how long they are. So when I first started playing ukulele, I experimented with them short and long and in between. Let me show you where I ended up as the ideal fingernail length for me. Here are the fingernails on my right hand. And from a side view, you can see how far my nails extend past the tips of my fingers. For me, this is important because I do quite a bit of finger picking. For you, experiment with it and you can go short or long, whatever your preference is. Tip number 2 is to play with enough pressure when you're strumming so that you hear all 4 of the strings. When you strum, you want to hear all 4 strings ringing out together and ringing out equally. This takes some practice to get your strumming nice and even so that each of the strings is given equal attention. Tip number 3 is that the sweet spot of your ukulele is right here where the body meets the neck. This is where you'll get the best sound out of the instrument. If we compare playing a C chord over the sound hole to playing in the sweet spot, you can hear the difference, you can feel the difference in the vibration. So keep in mind that this is the ideal spot. It doesn't mean that you can't play in different places, especially if you're finger picking. If you're playing over the neck, then your nails are likely to get in the way. So it's okay to play in this area, but just remember that this is where you'll get the best sound. Tip number 4 is to keep your right hand suspended while you're strumming. What I mean by that is don't lean your hand on the side of the instrument. Don't put fingers down while you're trying to strum. You really want this free movement of your hand to have good range of motion. Tip number 5 is to keep your ukulele tucked into your right elbow. You want it snug enough so that you can keep it steady in place while your right hand has freedom of movement. Tip number 6 is to get the rhythm of a strumming pattern in your right hand at a slower tempo before you speed it up. So if we're doing a basic down-up strumming pattern, you want to practice that for a while until you speed it up. The key is to keep it nice and even. Tip number 7 is to use your hand and your wrist for strumming, not your arm. Most people who are new to ukulele use their arm for strumming, and this gets tiring pretty quickly. So you want a gentle movement of your hand and your wrist, and this will allow you to play for a lot longer without any pain. So this is what it looks like. Tip number 8 is to experiment strumming with different fingers. When I first started playing, I used my thumb. Now I use my index finger. There's no right or wrong way, it's personal preference. You can use a combination, you can use your index finger going down, thumb coming back up. You can also use many fingers on your right hand for a much louder sound. So experiment, have fun with it, and figure out what you like best. Tip number 9 is that you generally want your right hand facing downward toward the floor, as opposed to facing this way up the neck. There are 2 reasons for this. One is that you want an up and down movement while you're strumming. And this is hard to do if your wrist is at this funny angle. So you want it pointing down towards the floor to go up and down. The second reason for keeping your hand facing downward is for finger picking. So with finger picking, you're essentially lifting up on each of the strings. This is nearly impossible to do if your hand is facing sideways. So make sure you keep your hand generally facing in a downward direction for both strumming and finger picking. Tip number 10 is to keep your right hand in one general location, particularly when you're alternating between finger picking and strumming. So you don't want to be jumping around to different parts of the instrument. You want to keep your right hand in one place and that will allow you to easily go back and forth between different techniques. Let me show you an example. In this example, I'm alternating between strumming and fingerpicking, and I'm keeping my right hand right here in one place that allows me to alternate between the two techniques. To further your learnings, check out my other videos on ukulele fundamentals and techniques, as well as song tutorials. If you learned something from this video, please give it a thumbs up, and thank you for subscribing. Now have fun with your ukulele, and thank you so much for watching.